everyone! I'm back, and it has been a while. I'm very excited to be recording this, and I can now officially say that I have my MLS degree. Woohoo! So your girl is going to be a librarian soon. I'm very excited. But yeah, so I haven't been doing much reading, but I have been wanting to do this video for a while. And I think now is a good time for it because we're sort of at the end of the year. We're going back and reflecting on things that we've done. So I'm going to go old school YouTube and give to you a 2022 favorites video. So unlike most favorites videos, I'm not really going to be talking about beauty much. It's mostly going to be, actually it will be, books, video games, and other. There's only one thing in the other category. So it's mostly books and video games. But those are the things I like. So those are the things I'm going to be sharing with you. All right, so we're going to start out with books. So I divided it into fiction, nonfiction, and graphic novels. And there's going to be a couple per category. So for fiction, my favorite books this year were Lake Lore by Anna Marie McLemore. To give you a sense of what this book is about, it features two non-binary protagonists who are growing up and experiencing life as non-binary folks, but also dealing with disability and race as well. And Anna Marie McLemore does what they do best, which is presenting us with this amazing magical realism world where the issues that arise in real life that real teenagers face and that these non-binary characters face are imbued with this wonderful magic, and it just makes the story enchanting, and the relationship between the two main characters is just lovely and comforting, and I just love all of Anna Marie McLemore's books, but this one I think has got to hands down be my favorite, so I would highly recommend reading that if that description sounds appealing. The next one is Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I'm sure you already heard of this one, but I am yet another voice telling you that you should read it. It is peak cozy fantasy. Literally, as the book states, it is high fantasy, low stakes. I really appreciated it because it assumes that you have some knowledge of like Dungeons and Dragons world building, so there's not a ton of world building that goes into it. It's mostly sort of like reading a slice of life fanfic with some characters that you really love, and I really appreciated that. I thought it was well paced, I thought the plot was great, the writing was very nice, and I mean the characters, slice of life, it's always the characters that make it. The characters are just really compelling. I love Viv. I love her whole backstory and how she's sort of going through like this big life change. And the other characters that you meet along the way are also lovely, and it creates a little bit of a found family trope, which my fave. So I would highly recommend that. The next book, which I made an entire video about, so go watch it if you haven't already, is Just Like Home by Sarah Gailey. Since I made a whole video about it, I'm not going to talk too much about it other than to say that it is a great Southern Gothic horror, and you should read it. So yes, that is what I will say about that. Nonfiction, because I actually did read some nonfiction this year. So the first one is Entangled Life by Merlin Sheldrake. I listened to the audiobook, which is narrated by the author. Also, sidebar, Merlin Sheldrake is like the name I would think of when I think of weird professor that like specializes in mushrooms, but he's great. I really appreciate how he's able to take complicated like scientific concepts and deliver them to a general audience in this book, but it also does feel like you're genuinely learning really cool and abstract concepts. So I feel like he sort of toes that line of creating a science book for a general audience without sort of dumbing it down in a way that makes it so that you're not really learning anything super new or revolutionary. I would highly recommend that one. And the other one is Disability Visibility, which is an anthology edited by Alice Wong that features a variety of different people who are dealing with disability in a world that is not accessible. And I read it as part of Disability Pride Month. That was something that I put on my TBR, and I highly recommend it. It's a great introduction into sort of disability activism and learning what are some of the different struggles that disabled folks have to deal with in the day-to-day world. So I would highly recommend reading that as sort of an introduction into the community. And then also definitely seek out the works, because a lot of people who are in the book have their own other books or podcasts or other work that they do to raise awareness of these issues. So I would recommend doing that as well. I was actually able to find another book called Care Work. One of their essays was disability visibility, and that's how I found them. So yeah, I would highly recommend reading that. Now, graphic novels. So I read a bunch of graphic novels and there were some really good ones, but my favorite, hands down, was The Tea Dragon Society by Kay O'Neill. It was absolutely lovely. It hit all of the things that I love about cozy graphic novels. The art style is incredible. Sidebar, you can go to Kay O'Neill's website and actually purchase prints that have the art style of their different graphic novels, and I would highly recommend doing that. I personally am just trying to decide which one to buy at this point, but the characters are very compelling. It's a middle grade story where the protagonist is sort of learning the importance of traditions and sort of artisanal labor, like doing things slowly, and then also just found family, like the importance of friendships and community, and it's wonderful. It is at this point a trilogy. So there's the Tea Dragon Society, the Tea Dragon Tapestry, and then the Tea Dragon Festival. And I would highly recommend that you check those out. Now I'm going to take a break to make sure that my camera doesn't collapse. All right, we had a brief intermission to prevent camera malfunction. The lighting and the angle may be different. Yeah, all right, let's move on. So now I want to talk about my favorite games of this year. So the first one is Dorf Romantic, which is this really cozy puzzle game where you have a deck of hexagonal tiles, and basically you're trying to build it out and complete like mini quests along the way, and you're trying to design it so that you get as many perfect puzzle pieces as possible. There will be like little forest and water and train tracks, and you want to try to align it so that it meets like. So there's like forest on forest, field on field, etc. I love it. It's very relaxed. You can do it at your own pace. Yeah, it's just a really comforting game. I also like playing it when my brain's kind of dead because, like, yes, it is a puzzle game, but like you can get away with like not using too much brain power in order to do it. It's not like you're getting shot at by other characters, you know, like you're building out your map. So I would highly recommend that. Speaking of shooting other characters, Tiny Tina's Wonderlands is also a game I would recommend. I have played a couple of the Borderlands games, and it's by the same devs that make those games. I personally think Tiny Tina's Wonderland takes everything that I really love about Borderlands, mostly like the characters, the dialogue, and just massively improves upon the gameplay to the point where it's a very seamless experience, especially playing co-op. There's a lot of improvements that have been made over the course of the Borderlands games up to Tiny Tina's, such as loot. Like each person has their own loot. If you get money from chests, the money goes to both players. Like little things like that just make it more cooperative and just like overall enhance the experience. I think the gun handling is also really great. I love the spell mechanic as sort of a replacement for grenades. I think that's really well done. I also like that the attention that's given to melee weapons. I think that's great as well. But yeah, the plot is hilarious. Love the D&D references. The side quests are like the reason you should play the game. Like there are some great side quests. But yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It is a first-person shooter, so keep that in mind. If that's not the vibe, like I would not recommend this game because there is a lot of combat. But if you are into combat forward Dungeons and Dragons that still does have like a really compelling plot and characters, I would highly recommend it. Next is Strange Horticulture, which is a very, I would say, like a dark academia vibe. Basically, you own this apothecary, I guess. You're a shop that has a bunch of different plants and mushrooms that can help in medicinal and other ways. And you are basically building your knowledge and your library of plants as you're also helping different customers, and you're also getting to know this larger story that's sort of going on in the background, and you're able to sort of pick sides, get different endings, help people, decide not to help people. I really enjoy it because There is that puzzle element. There are some puzzles you have to solve in order to find new plants. And you also have to sometimes try to figure out what exactly a customer is asking for, because they won't ask you in the way that would be most convenient. So I really enjoy that element. I thought the storyline was also very well thought out. I like that there's sort of the multiple endings, so it helps with like replayability. Yeah, I would definitely recommend it. It's very like dark academia. I mean, I guess not so much academia, but just like imagine you're sort of in this rainy like London-based town, and you're like basically serving your role in the community as this like sort of magical purveyor of goods. All right, the last one is No Man's Sky. And I know that when this game first came out, it was very controversial. A lot of people didn't like it. This was the first year that I played it, so I have only played the version that has been out this year. It was the middle of the year. I know there were a couple of major updates that have happened since I've started playing. The reason I like this game a lot is because of the exploration component. I really like the fact that you can sort of just keep infinitely exploring, and the map will sort of generate as you continue to go. I like that the different planets have very distinct sort of biomes and distinct materials that you can find on them. The wildlife in particular, I think they do a really good job of sort of differentiating wildlife from planet to planet. I mean, it's not without its downsides. It definitely requires a more powerful computer to play, unless you want to play it on really low settings. I've also had a couple of just random glitchy issues with it, but overall, I definitely would highly recommend it in its current state. Yeah, I just think it's a really well-crafted game at this point. I think there's plenty of opportunities to sort of go in different directions based on what you like doing gameplay-wise. Like, I personally am not super into combat, so I tend to focus on more of the exploration components, but there are still plenty of quests and gameplay available for me, and I really appreciate that about it. All right, the last thing that I want to talk about is it is basically the way that it's described on the website is lo-fi plaid, because I got it from the Lo-Fi Girl merch store. But it's this really comfy, snuggy-like hoodie that I will now proceed to show you. And I literally wear it every day when I get home from work. It's become almost a ritual at this point, just sort of like changing into my comfy clothes, sitting down at my computer to play games, read my book. I will preface it by saying that I know that there are a lot of other companies out there that sell similar products. I'm not like, this is the only one I've ever tried. I really like it. I'm sure the other products are also just as good. I'm mostly saying that it's very cozy and I like it. Check out whoever you like that sells these products. I am now going to show you what this one looks like. Ta-da! So as you can see, since this is the lo-fi, you've got some of the characters from the lo-fi universe up here. You have this comfy pocket, and you can see that it's fleece lined, and then the entire thing is also fleece lined. And then there's this hood up here. All right, we're gonna make this quick because my camera's about to die. This is what it looks like on. It's super cozy. I love it. I wear it all the time. I would highly recommend getting one if you have the ability to do so. And thank you so much for watching my 2022 favorites video. Be on the lookout for more videos from me soon, including hopefully a Babel review because I'm reading it right now and it's really good. Okay, bye.